Hi everyone, it's Miriam here. For those of you who have been following the Justice Talks would know that on Monday, Charlotte Instone talked about fast fashion and modern day slavery. She mentioned a few verses in her talk, but I just want to pick up one verse which I found really interesting before the talk when I was trying to find something to introduce her with. So I'll just read it out to you. It's from Paul's letter to Thessalonians. So it's 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 12 to 13. Now we ask you, brothers and sisters, to acknowledge those who work hard among you, who care for you in the Lord, and who admonish you. Hold them in the highest regard in love because of their work. So are we really holding the people who work the hardest in high regard? Charlotte mentioned in her talk some of the workers in Bangladesh before the work tower collapsed, and how so many lives were lost there, and how it just highlighted how bad the working conditions were for those workers. So are we really holding them in the highest regard? Are we really showing them God's love? How do we do that? How do we hold them in the highest regard? How do we show God's love? How can we reach out to these people? God says to love our neighbours as ourselves. How are we doing that to our global neighbours, to people that we have an impact on their lives and what they do for a living? Charlotte mentioned things about instead of buying clothes from shops which we know don't treat workers fairly, maybe buying some things from charity shops. Or even if you're tight for money, why not ask people around you if you can borrow clothes or if you can do a clothes swap. I follow this Facebook account for students who put clothes that they don't want on this account, and then they have to be under £5, and you can swap clothes, and that's a really great way to buy clothes. Or there's things like Depop, which is another sort of online charity shop sort of thing, which is really cool. Or maybe even not clothes, maybe like furnishings and things. You can find so many ethical brands and ethical websites. Some of them might be a bit pricey, but it's often because they treat their workers fairly. They give them a fair pay. Like we've seen brands like Boohoo in Leicester, and we've seen the wage that they pay workers. How can we reach out to those people? What can we do in our everyday decisions, in our everyday lives, to try and respect those workers and put them in the highest regard? That's all I wanted to say today. Just a really short thing. I haven't really prepared it much, so sorry if it's all coming out as a blur. But yeah, I just want to leave you with that. Do we really hold the people who work the hardest in highest regard, and how do we show God's love to them? Thanks, guys.